Mexico's powerful and popular President Claudia Sheinbaum is striking back right away to Donald Trump and saying, do not mess with our sovereignty. A few things went down this week. First, Mexico refused to accept U.S. deportation flights into Mexico. The Mexican government has criticized Trump's unilateral immigration actions and said that trying to land your military airplanes here that requires our assistance, you're not going to do it unilaterally. We are not permitting you to do that in our airspace and on our airfields. NBC is reporting what went down. Mexico denied U.S. military plane access to land Thursday, at least temporarily, frustrating Trump administration's plan to deport migrants to the country. This according to two U.S. defense officials and a third person familiar with the situation. So two Guatemala-bound Air Force C-17s carrying about 80 people apiece flew deportees out of the U.S. This was on Thursday night, the source said. The third flight slotted for Mexico never took off because Mexico said, we are not letting you land those planes here. Absolutely not. Now, Claudia Sheinbaum, we've been talking about her for a lot of months here on the MeidasTouch network. Right now, she was elected recently, but then after Donald Trump was elected, she stood up to him right away. She had a plan. She was ready to go. She knows Donald Trump's type. She has about an 80% approval rating in Mexico. So when Donald Trump threatened those sanctions against Canada and Mexico, she responded right away with just an incredibly powerful letter in response. And she said, look, we're happy to work together, but let me be very clear, Donald. We will retaliate against you and make you feel equal pain if you try to harm the sovereignty of Mexico or if you try to impose tariffs on Mexico. She reminded Donald Trump about the auto manufacturers and other business vital to the United States interests that are based in Mexico. She reminded Donald Trump of the trade agreements between the United States and Mexico. And she also said, how dare you try to act like synthetic drugs is a Mexico problem? 99% of the people who are getting killed in the United States from synthetic drugs are Americans, and Americans are the ones bringing synthetic drugs into the United States. And she said, you can look elsewhere, China is, but we're not doing that here in Mexico. And she also said in that letter, you remember, while we're at it, maybe if you spent less time on wars and trying to build up your military and more time on comprehensive immigration issues, you'd be able to sort through all of this. She also reminded Donald Trump that border crossings were actually at an all-time low with President Biden, that there were no caravans that Donald Trump and Fox kept on talking about, because that was actually addressed by Biden and Sheinbaum when there were bilateral relations and communications taking place to actually stop the caravans. And then she also told Donald Trump, and y'all are sending guns into Mexico and you're harming us here. So you should deal with your own problems. Focus on that. Then she's continued to say, if you claim that you want to take over Mexico, well, maybe we take over the United States. Let me show you the map of what the United States actually once was, which was a part of Mexico. Maybe we should just refer to the United States as actually part of Mexico. We want to go down this route. So she's always been standing up to Donald Trump. Now, she held a recent press conference after Donald Trump talked about renaming, this just happened, the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And after all of Donald Trump's executive orders, let me share this with you now. We translated this for you in AI. It uses her voice, but it's an AI translation, which is an incredible job. This was from her most recent press conference this past week where she stood up to Donald Trump. This is incredible. Let's play it right here.
Regarding the decrees, it's important to refer to the decrees that President Donald Trump signed yesterday. Rest assured that we will always defend our sovereignty and our independence, and that we will always provide support to the Mexicans who are in the United States, to our fellow nationals, to our countrymen. Those two principles are very fundamental and essential. It's always important to keep a cool head. I'm going to refer to 5 topics. The emergency zone decree at the southern border is practically the same as the decree he signed during his first term. There was already a framework for action, a cooperation between the government of the United States and Mexico, back then under President Trump and President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. It's not something new. Second point, the declaration of the MPP, which they call Remain in Mexico, is the same decree that was made in 2018. What does this decree mean? That for people who are seeking asylum in the United States, the U.S. does not allow them to stay on its territory while they are asking for asylum. We have our own immigration policy. We are a humanitarian government. We are not going to leave people out in the open, and the repatriation to their countries is sought in case they are foreign. The third point, the topic of the Gulf of Mexico. They say they are going to call it the Gulf of America on their continental shelf. I mean, what corresponds to the continental shelf of the United States, they call it the Gulf of America. So it's about their continental shelf. For us and for the whole world, it is still called the Gulf of Mexico. For the cartels as terrorist organizations. The decree states that they have 2 weeks at least to study whom they would call a terrorist organization. They can act on their territory. In their framework of action and their constitution, what we are going to seek is coordination with respect to our sovereignty. And the other thing that is very relevant is the treaty. The U.S. Trade Representative will begin the public consultation process regarding the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement in preparation for the review in July 2026. What they are saying is to continue the trade agreement. So, it's important to stay calm and read the decrees as they are in order to make an interpretation. And let them know that the President of the Republic will always defend Mexico.
How great was that? President Sheinbaum also standing up for the sovereignty of other nations, like when Donald Trump attacks Panama. This is from a few weeks back where she says that Mexico stands in solidarity with the people of Panama. Here, play this clip.
Ahora, ayer también se refirió al tema de Panamá y ahí sí nuestra solidaridad con el presidente de Panamá, que salió muy rápidamente a decir el canal de Panamá es de los panameños, y en efecto el canal de Panamá es de los panameños. Entonces ahí sí nuestra solidaridad, nuestro apoyo al presidente de Panamá, al pueblo de Panamá.
Okay, I gotta tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink. Let's face it, after a night out with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I used to feel like I had to choose between a great night out and a great next day, until I found ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme that breaks this byproduct down. Just remember, make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. I won't lie, I was skeptical at first, but I gave it a shot before a night out with friends at our favorite spot downtown, and I could not believe the difference. The next morning, I woke up ready to tackle a packed schedule, no sluggishness, no regrets. Now I use ZBiotics every time I know I've got plans the next day. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason whatsoever, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Again, that's zbiotics.com/Meidas and use that code Meidas, that's MEIDAS at checkout for 15% off. Cheers to feeling great tomorrow.
And also one of the other moves that she did that I thought was subtle, or maybe not that subtle, but sent a powerful message, although maybe Trump's not smart enough to see the message. So President Sheinbaum was not supposed to meet with Xi Jinping of China, the leader of China, during the latest G20 meeting. But after Trump won the election and Trump said all of the things he was saying, not only did Sheinbaum meet with Xi Jinping, but she was photographed with Xi Jinping. So anybody who knows what goes on in diplomatic circles knows that Sheinbaum was sending a message there. And again, Trump and his team may be too ignorant to understand the message, but the message was, okay, you do this to us. We have other people who we can have relations with, that we could build our relationships with China and elsewhere. If you are not going to be our allies anymore and you're going to attack us and treat us this way. I thought that was a powerful thing by Sheinbaum as well. So anyway, let me know what you think right there. But Sheinbaum going on the offense, and she's saying, we must have a level head. We must be clear and not overreact. Meanwhile, you have Donald Trump, Mr. Accordion Hands, overreacting and just behaving in such a barbaric, chaotic, just a way that's so unbecoming of a leader. I guess that's me putting it gently. Tell me what you think about President Sheinbaum's actions. Put it in the comments below. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.